It's been a weird school year, and since the pandemic began, I found myself wondering, how has our relationship with the environment changed? So I reached out to graduating students in the Certificate of Sustainability to get their take on it.
Throughout the pandemic, I think I've definitely realized like how important it is for me to like be outside and be out in nature. Being stuck inside on my laptop all day for online school has really, it's really been hard on me. So I've really been trying to make more of an effort to get outside and making that a priority. Whereas before it was kind of, you're just forced to be outside walking between classes and everything.
I've been walking more and biking a lot more throughout the school year, being inside a lot, having to be on my laptop a lot. That it's really important to get outside and utilize the great outdoors and take advantage of our beautiful city in Edmonton. We need to keep it clean and keep it green whenever and however we can.
I definitely kind of come to value the ability to be outside more and like make trips to the mountains and that sort of thing because it was more restricted. I found especially during my summer work where I was working in the field, it was just such a nice opportunity to be able to get out of a city. So it's kind of made me realize just how valuable that is to my own personal kind of well-being and health.
At the beginning of the pandemic, there was definitely a few months where I was taking more walks outside, connecting with nature, going out with my dog, and I had more time to do that. But I think since everything has adjusted, I find myself to be just as busy as I was when I was going to school full time.
Before the pandemic, I was in Edmonton, living pretty much on campus, but in like off-campus housing. I would have to walk to classes every day. So that like forced me to spend at least a little bit of time outside, which was really nice. Now that I'm in my hometown of Rocky Mountain House, I live in the country on an acreage. I have to make a conscious effort to experience nature, to be in ecosystems and in the environment.
In a lot of ways, it's really shown me how important access to the environment is. Just the area around you. Like, I'm really fortunate. I have a lot of trails around me and a lot of public space, but also literally being able to access. I live in an apartment, and anytime I had to isolate, I could not reach the outside because I can't go in the public hallways and stairways. Just literally being able to get to the outside in your own way is important. And not having my own outside public space has been difficult because when the restrictions allow for outside gatherings, I don't have an outside gathering space. So,
well, when you first posed this question, when you invited me here, I was kind of like, man, how has it changed my perspective on the environment? Because I really haven't been out much, or really so I thought, but I kind of started thinking about it. And with COVID, as much as I've been stuck in the city, and I've been walking more, I've been running, and I think really my biggest change in perspective has been my perspective of kind of what a city's position is in the environment. You come to Edmonton, you have the River Valley system. You have all this work done for ecological connectivity and habitat preservation in new developing areas. I think really that understanding more about how a city should be a part of the environment, especially with a growing population, and having to really expand a city's borders into the environment. I think having a city, being a part of the environment and not apart from the environment, I think has really changed in my mind. I've always thought of a city as its own kind of isolated area. Whereas now I really do see, after walking in the river valley, even in my community, seeing the birds, and I've seen owls around, which is bizarre to me, and woodpeckers, and I think it's amazing. And I think we really have to strive in the future with population growth to really ensure that cities have ecological connectivity and we can preserve habitat, and really just be a part of the environment, in our big concrete boxes.
I love hiking. It's one of my favorite things to do. I grew a lot of appreciation for the environment over there, and like I've been doing more hikes, but also kind of grown a little bit more of an earnest drive in like protecting it and making sure it's safe, because it experienced a lot of over tourism this year, and you see a lot of trash and pollution and stuff like that, and it was sad to see. But it also makes, again, when we're given so much more time to think about our actions and we're given so much more time to reflect on the things that matter to us, we can kind of give more time for that as well, and kind of spreading the word on Alberta parks and stuff like that, and saving them. And that's kind of something I wouldn't have the luxury of doing back then, especially with how busy everyone's schedule was.
I ended up having obviously a lot of time on my hands, specifically around the summertime. And my brother and I went out and just did some community garbage cleanup, because every time I'm out for a walk and I see a piece of garbage, it just kind of makes me cringe a little bit. So on one day I went by myself. I was cleaning up garbage kind of by this little fence, and I saw a baby duck that was stuck in like the sticky weed. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I dropped everything. And I was like, this poor baby. And so I was like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Where's the mom? What should I do? And there was like a pond down probably about a kilometer away. And I was like, that's probably the best place to go. So I picked up this little baby duck with my gloves on and tried to pull it with my wagon of garbage to the pond. And there was a family of a mom and her little baby duck. So I found a way to get to the water and put the duck in with his family. And it was just the probably best experience of my summer. This is just a perfect thing. And that's why everyone should go and pick up garbage in their community, you know?
I think definitely with the pandemic has come a lot of everything being single use. And I just, like, obviously that's necessary right now.
I think plastic has been used more than it should have, because, you know, people are scared to use the same utensils per se. So I think that's one of the issues. And masks are being thrown everywhere. And so there's things like that I think kind of made it worse also. There's certain things I think in times of crisis, we don't really think about the environment as much as we should. I think a lot of people tend to think, oh, we're not driving as much, that must be good for the environment, or, you know, we're not polluting as much, which is all good things. But I do think that there's like an unspoken kind of climate change issue is the biggest issue for 2019. But I think for 2020, we can all safely say that was not even on our radar, which is completely fair. But at the same time, it would be really interesting to see if those climate change issues do come back once the crisis subsides.
In the winter, I would do a lot of cross-country skiing, and now that it's getting a bit warmer, I can jog a bit more outside. In the fall, I was climbing a lot of trees. So yeah, I think that has really improved my relationship with the environment.
I've just been so much more observant of like the changing of seasons and the animals around me. And I'm finding a lot of hope in the weather warming up, the sun coming out more. And so the environment's been really important for kind of carrying me through some of the more difficult times.
We kind of grown like a little bit of more of an earnest drive for the area that we live in.